I was gonna do that next,
Oh.
yeah.
Sorry.
You're one step, that's okay, you're one step ahead of me. So, we're gonna schedule a public hearing, is 6 or 6:30?
It's 6:30, it's gonna be.
That's what I was
It's going to be very
Okay,
short.
so we're gonna set up, if all the board members are in favor, we're gonna set a public meeting, 6:30 PM, April 5th, Monday, April 5th. 58/2021. Consider authorizing the township engineer to advertise for bids for the repair to the Creedmore Road Bridge. Before we get into that, Dan, you want to do your presentation?
Yeah, we have a presentation related to bridges tonight. I just wanted to introduce Kevin Madeline from our office. Kevin's our structural engineer. He's done a number of small bridge projects. And he's worked with Bill and Dawn to develop the scope for these projects. There's two bridges we want to talk about tonight. The first is Creedmore. We've been limping along with repairs to the Creedmore Road Bridge, which now services the Miller's Run sewage treatment plant. And it's time to consider replacing the full deck to get that bridge back open. And then the second part of this, we want to talk about Bridgewood. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, and I'll operate the slideshow.
All right, well, good evening. Just as you can see, a quick agenda. This is kind of what we're going to run through real quick. So Creedmore, we'll go through first. We'll talk about some of the existing issues out at Creedmore, our proposed repair scope that we talked through with Public Works, and then the anticipated project cost. And then we'll get into Ridgewood, the bridge there. We'll talk about a couple of the existing issues. 4 repair options that we've come up with, just for consideration, and then some of the costs for each of those options. So to go through Creedmore's a steel beam deck with concrete. The steel beams are in poor condition at this point. The bridge is under inspection by PennDOT, so 2 inspection reports ago, PennDOT wanted to put a load rating on the bridge. We actually came in and made some repairs, and then also came up with a scheme that we could restrict the bridge down to a 1-lane restriction at this point to keep the load rating off of it so that we can still run full trucks over the bridge at this time.
There's approximately 6 or 7 residential houses that go up in this direction. And then there's the treatment plant on the very end of the road, just for reference beyond the bridge. So there are residents up there that rely upon this bridge. It's the only way in and out.
And then we do have a little note there, so we will be getting another PennDOT inspection here in the near future. We think it's likely that the bridge is going to end up load restricted again. We were really kind of with the numbers on the fine line of whether or not there was going to be a load restriction. So just a couple photos of kind of what's happening. So you see a lot of corrosion on the beams, and that's actually what's controlling the load rating. You also see in the upper left picture some of the deteriorated abutment that we'll be proposing to fix. So our proposed scope that we have is kind of a superstructure replacement. So that's, we're going to replace the steel beams. We'll put a new concrete deck with an asphalt overlay. We'll also put new character transition into guide rail, and then as part of the paving improvements, we'll put some new approach slabs onto the bridge. We'll mill and overlay some of the existing asphalt, and then we'll install guide rail in the immediate area, and then replacing some more guide rail along Creedmore as we get back towards the sewage treatment. So as Dan mentioned before, this is a one-way in, one-way out scenario. So we did kind of highlight in red there, you can see where the temporary access would be. So we'll have a temporary road that will actually cross the stream via some pipes that we'll put in the stream, and then it runs down the road and then reconnects to Creedmore.
And this was done before when this bridge was worked on the last time. Worked with the property owner there who owns has an equipment supply yard there. I've been in contact with him. He understands. We'll be working within our right of way. We're going to have to pull around fence to make this all happen, but the idea is that the residents and the municipal authority, while this bridge is being reconstructed, will have access to their properties. So that affects the cost as we look at it.
So when we get into the cost, so we have an estimated construction budget of $250,000 for the deck replacement. And then we have an additional $75,000 that's part of that temporary crossing. We have to put the pipes in, we have to bring in some aggregate fill, we'll also have to put in a little temporary drain. And then with those repairs, we have an estimated lifespan on the structure before we're into another major rehab of 35 years.
So just on this one, we're ready to go on this one to get it to bid. And that's why I asked for the action on this tonight to get your authorization to put it to bid. We found that the numbers are coming in, contractors are very aggressive at this time of year, and especially after COVID, there's not a lot of backlog. So the faster that we get this on the street, the better numbers we're gonna get, and I'm hoping that we will improve upon these. But we haven't taken anything recently on a bridge in post-COVID times to see what the numbers will be. This is pre-COVID numbers.
Correct. But we have seen even on sort of unrelated projects, we are seeing a lot of bids come in.
Yeah, there's
A lot of interest just in general from contractors,
yes.
which helps.
And this is a small bridge, it's not a PennDOT type of a project, it's not subject to a lot of the rules and regulations that, I mean, it's gonna be good work, but it doesn't have to go through the same arduous process. It could be quickly done, and those things are, you know, there's contractors out there, smaller bridge contractors that specialize in this type of work that would go after this. All right.
Are you gonna bid this as two separate items or what?
We'll have unit price items for it, committed as a unit price contract on. So we'll have demo, we'll have the steel, we'll have the concrete, and then the access will be a pipe across the creek, and then whatever aggregate road to do that. So we'll bid at unit price, so there's no questions.
I was thinking that same line of thought, just a temporary crossing. I don't know, the oil and gas industry maybe uses the mats or the 14 by 14 logs to put down over the pipes or something rather than the aggregates, or would that ever be an option to have that bid, the mats?
Well, we have residents with vehicles that we will be using, so it has to be safe and.
You don't believe they're safe?
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, they're not, like, there's a lot of times the oil and gas industry uses things because they're on site or, you know what I mean? It's not a public situation like this, so I don't think it's anything crazy to build this optional road. I mean, it was done before, but I mean, it is costly, there's cost involved in it, but I don't think there's any other choice.
That we do plan it, in talking with Bill, to bid that as an adult, so that it would be something.
Yeah, if he wants to do
It
part of
could be
it.
a public works project depending on his workload and everything.
Great.
Could cut some costs out there as well.
Because I think our guys could definitely do it. You know, about field paper millions, we have over millions in the world up there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's, yeah, it's very expensive. It could be any.
I figure about $7,000.
Yeah.
Well, and we could offer him a contract too, and we give Bill another option, even if the millings are available, Ron, we can tell the contractor that the township will load the millings to the contractor and make them available.
Okay. We have the millions.
Yeah, that's the word. Any other questions on Creedmore?
You want to discuss right now or take a vote on Creedmore and then?
It's your call, Cindy, whatever you like.
Let's take, that's what I decided. Let's vote, okay, so we're gonna, there's still another bridge to discuss. We're gonna consider authorizing the township engineer to advertise for bids for the repairs to Creedmore Road Bridge. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes 5-0. Go ahead, Dan. Now we're gonna